To visualize a couple of Josephson junctions in Blender, we can introduce some very basic geometries, followed by applying a loop cut, a bevel, and then a Boolean. We can, as a bonus, actually create a SQUID loop as well. So this is what this SQUID loop is. Superconducting quantum interference device loop. There you go. So when we open Blender, you should see this orange highlighted cube. We need this cube, so click on it. And now I will go to the upper left of the screen and click on this little menu and then select edit mode. Now we are in edit mode. And now we need to look for this loop cut tool. It's this icon here. Go ahead and click on it. And now we can hover over the midsection of the cube and you should see this yellow box. Go ahead and click on this one time. And this is the only loop cut that we need for this demonstration. Let's go to this move icon here, click on that, and then select this face select mode. It's right here. And then go ahead and click on this snapping tool and activate it. It looks like a horseshoe magnet. And now I will click on this face here, and then I will select the letter E on the keyboard and then extrude this face. And now I'll do the same thing with this face here. I will extrude this to the left. And this is what you should see. Okay, now this part of the junction is kind of wide, so I will press this, select this face here, and I will push this inward by about 1 block. And this is what you should get. Wonderful. And now we will move on to the next section, which is to select this face right here. And then I also need to push this face inwards by about 1 block. And then this is going to make room for the tunnel barrier that we'll introduce in a moment. Wonderful. And now the next thing we need to do is go to this edge selection mode here and select this edge and then hold the shift key and then select the other edge right here. So we need these 2 edges to be selected. And while they're selected, let's press Ctrl B on the keyboard and then click somewhere here to the right. And this tiny menu will pop up on the bottom left of the screen. All we need to do here is change the width to about 0.2 units. And then we will introduce about anywhere from 20 to 30 segments. Oh, 10 to 30 segments. I'm going to crank this up to 30 and then keep the shape to about 0.5. And then that's it. Just click somewhere here to the right, and this is what you should get. In reality, you can keep this as is. It will render just fine. But if the geometry is bugging you and you can see multiple faces here, what you can do is select these faces, use the shift key and select all the faces that you want to be cleaned up, and we can go to the mesh tab. To remind you, this is an edit mode, so go to mesh tab and then go to clean up and look for limited dissolve. So click on this and it will combine the selected faces into one as best as it can. And we can do this for the rest of the geometry as well. All the faces you want to be combined so long as they are adjacent. Let's see, perhaps this one, and everything else is okay. So let's go to the mesh tab, clean up, limited dissolve. So now we have this really clean geometry for the most part. Okay, so now what we can do is go to object mode and then go add, mesh, and then cube. And this cube, we will modify it by dragging it to the left, and this will be the bottom layer of the Josephson junction. Okay, so now to shrink this cube down, I'm going to go to edit mode, use this face select, and push this down by about 1 block. This is what you should see. Okay, and now I can also stretch the face. I can select the face here, and I can just push this arrow here to the left to stretch out this part of the junction. And now I can go back to edit mode, and let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap these 2 geometries by about 1 unit. So you can see 1 unit of overlap here and 1 unit of overlap here. So we're going to use this to create a tunnel barrier using a Boolean modifier. Okay, so before we continue, what we need to do is select this geometry, hold the shift key, and then select the other geometry. Okay, So all are selected, go ahead and press Ctrl C to copy them, because we're going to paste them after we delete the excess Boolean operations. So now go ahead and select this bottom geometry, and then go to the modifier tab here. It's a wrench icon. Click on Add Modifier, click on the search box, and then type in Boolean. You should see Boolean right here show up. Now, you can select this intersect mode, and then use this pick icon to select the other geometry. And now, whatever is overlapping, it will turn into a new geometry. And to finalize that, let's go to this drop-down arrow, and then click on Apply. And now we can get rid of this excess geometry. Delete it. And now we're left with this elbow-looking structure, and this will be the tunnel barrier. And since the excess geometries have been deleted, we can introduce them back by pressing Ctrl V on the keyboard. And we can also readjust the positions as needed. Roughly about here. And then we can move this, let me see here. We can move this elbow that was created as well. We can adjust it. It's kind of like doing Tetris. And now I can go to the edit mode and then use this face select and then select this one face here. And I can drag it down by one block. And this face is kind of sticking out a bit too much. I can also use this view here and then push it to the right. And there we go. We have a Josephson junction. We have the bottom layer, we have the top layer, and then we have the tunnel barrier. Wonderful. A few minor adjustments here. I'm going to shrink this leg here. And that looks good right there. So now the bonus content begins. Hold the Shift key and then select the other geometries, and I can press Ctrl C on the keyboard to copy this. And now what I can do is go to this Z viewpoint, and I can press Ctrl V on the keyboard, and then I can move it. I can click on this arrow icon, the move icon, and then drag it over to the left. So this copy that I made can now be moved around as needed. Okay, and this will become our superconducting loop. The next thing I will do is I will add a mesh. I'm going to go to Cube, and then I'm going to drag this somewhere here to the right. Okay, and then I'll place it somewhere in between these two geometries. See that? And now I will go to Edit mode, select, make sure this is under face select, select the top face, and I will squish it down by about one block. All right, now what I can do is I can select this face here, and I can press the letter E to extrude this, and then it will match just about this side of the geometry here. And I can do the same thing with this other face here. I can press the letter E to extrude that somewhere over here. Wonderful. And now I can press this middle face right here, and I can also extrude this somewhere to the right. And so now we have half of this superconducting loop that has been created. Wonderful. And what I can do is I will make this overlap with these two geometries here. And to do that, I will zoom in a little bit and then push it down this way. And then it needs to overlap about 1 unit with those other two geometries. So this will make the Boolean a lot easier to perform. Okay, so while it's still selected, let's go to this modifier tab and then go to Add Modifier and then type in Boolean. Otherwise, if it shows up here, you can just click on it. Click on Boolean and then go to Union, because we want to merge them together, and then click on this pick icon and then select this object here. And it will merge these two objects together. The only way to finalize that is to actually go down here and click on Apply. And now we can do the same thing. Select this T shape again, and then go to Add Modifier, select Boolean, and then Union, and then we will merge that together with this object on the left side. And now we can finalize that by clicking Apply. Okay, and there will be some leftover geometries in the way, so let's go ahead and press that letter H on the keyboard to hide this really quick. And officially, we need to hide this geometry. So while this is selected, I'm going to go to this icon here and hide that. And then I will select this other one here, and I will also hide that. And now we can unhide this unionized or merged shape here. And now when I go to wireframe view, I shouldn't see any weird shapes show up. Okay, wonderful. Edit move. Mesh. Limited dissolve. See that? I basically cleaned it up, and now it's just one continuous geometry. That's exactly what we want. Okay. Now I can do a similar operation with this side of the loop, so we can continue with the loop. And let's see here. We can introduce a cube. Go to mesh, introduce a cube, put this about maybe somewhere right here. I'm going to press this to the left. Okay, looks good. And then what I need to do here is go to the edit mode, press this face select option, and I'll press this by one block. Press it down by one block. And let's see, we're extruding it by about that length there. And I will extrude this face here as well. Press letter E, and I'll extrude this. And then extrude this face here. Look at that. Awesome. All right. There you go. And now we have this superconducting quantum interference device. So to finalize a couple of things, we can also go here, and then we can combine these geometries just like before. So I'm going to click on the T here, go to Add Modifier. I can go to Boolean, and then use a union option, and I will combine this one. I will select Apply. And I will select this geometry here again, go to Add Modifier, look for Boolean, and then click on Union, and then select this geometry here. And I will finalize this by selecting Apply. Wonderful. Okay. I'm going to officially hide that one, and I will hide this one, and I will unhide this geometry. So now we have this complete geometry ready for the final beveling tool to kind of get rid of the sharp edges. We don't want the edges too sharp for the render. So I'm going to go to edit mode, and then I'll use the mesh view. I will select this, and then go to mesh, clean up, limited dissolve. See that? Go back to object mode. Everything is now cleaned up. Just to check things out. Wonderful. Okay, so now I can go back. Let me see here. I can select this geometry, and I can select this geometry, and I can go back to edit mode, and I can use this edge selection here. And while the edges are selected, we can also use the wireframe view here to make things easier. We can select everything like so, and then we can go to, let's see here, Ctrl B on the keyboard, and then just click anywhere somewhere over here, and then we're going to select the width as 0.005. And then you can choose to have 30 segments or 20 segments or 10 segments. It's pretty good. And then leave the shape as 0.5. And that's it. Now we can go to object mode. And you will see that the edge has been smoothed out on the geometries. See that? That's what we want. We can save this as is. That's great. Otherwise, we can zoom into the geometries here, get a little bit closer, and say, I want to render this Josephson Junction for a figure, a publication. We can also change the specular on this thing. The specular is like the reflection color. See, it's got somewhat of a green reflection there. That's a secondary reflection. Yep. I like the color. It's been assigned. And we can also render this one and render this zoomed in version. Look at this. That's a beautiful figure already. Look at that. Oh. And then we're almost done with this 895 frames. Get real close. And then it's going to apply a denoising algorithm. Yeah, it looks great. And then we can also capture more of that, the interesting part of the junction, which is this curved feature here. So this is 0.2, but I can always decrease it to some other value like 0.128. That looks interesting. Save, and go to render image. Okay, at this point I'm just having fun. Okay. Anyways. All right, that's all we got for today. Take care. That's all.